We had a very, very stressful environment that we were working underneath because of the fact that my boss, who I reported to, was one of the great-grandsons of the founder of this great organization. And to a certain extent, that meant that, of course, he had a significant amount of influence and power in the organization. And he also was, quote, untouchable, meaning pretty much he can do whatever he wanted to do when he wanted to do it, and nobody bothered to hold him accountable or to in any way discipline him professionally. Well, this reached a real problem at one point because this particular gentleman became addicted to crack cocaine. And when that happened, his behavior changed greatly. He went from being somebody fun and enjoyable to work with and somebody that I had a high degree of respect for to somebody who was completely undependable and irrational and mean and nasty and just bizarre. The behavior became so irrational and erratic that many very good people and employees who had been with that company for years decided to actually quit. There were a few of us that were still left, but the morale was at a real all-time low level. We felt a sense of hopelessness, like what are we going to do? I mean, the situation is so it's stressful to have to contend with every day, and we'd all, of course, we'd take that stressful situation home with us and talk to our families about it as well. And so one day, in the course of talking to my family about it, my mother happened to be there and was listening to the conversation, and she said to me, "John, there's a text in the Bible that talks about that God holds the heart of the king in his hands." And she said, there's been many situations in the Bible where God changed the landscape because he disciplined a ruler or a king or somebody that was not conducting himself in a way that was worthy of having any kind of respect, and he changed things. And I said, well, yeah, that's true. And I believed that in my head, but in my heart I was thinking this is an impossible situation. She goes, I tell you what, starting tonight, I'm going to start praying that God will give you the courage to do something about this situation. I thought, what am I going to do? What kind of influence do I have? I'm way down the food chain in this situation. But I decided I'm going to take my mom up on this. I'm going to start praying along with her. So we were praying. She went back home and we were praying, and then she said, I believe God wants you to talk to the chairman of the board, which was this gentleman's boss. Well, that was a big, tall order. And I thought to myself, like Peter said, Lord, I believe, help my unbelief. I felt the same thing at that time. I started praying, and it happened to be that I decided, okay, I believe that God's going to do something. I don't know what, but I went ahead and called up chairman of the board. And I remember telling him that I needed to speak to him about something that was an urgent matter that was greatly impacting the organization, and he needed to do something about it. He goes, well, John, why don't we get together after the holidays, maybe by phone, and speak some more after we get through Christmas? I said, no, I need you to come down right away. And we met on Christmas Eve, and I told him what was going on in the organization, how we'd all been impacted greatly, and we had to do something because this was tearing the company apart and people were leaving. And he listened attentively. In fact, he listened so well that when I got done, he said, I understand exactly what you're going through, and I apologize that you've had to live like this for the last year or so. I really apologize. And I need to apologize to your organization as well, but the first thing I need to do is take care of this immediate problem. On Christmas Eve, around 7 o'clock in the evening, he drove over to the CEO's house, talked to him about this issue, and he got him into rehab that very evening. On Christmas Eve, he dragged him out of the house, not physically, obviously, but made him come to rehab. And suddenly, there was a great level of peace in the land, so to speak. I mean, people felt a sense of relief and awe that this had actually happened and nobody believed it. And I know that this would never have happened if I decided to not pray. My name is John, and my prayer was answered.